Hello there. My name is Pioneer, and this is I Am Sure Sports. And today we'll be looking at the Tokyo Olympics. We'll be looking at track and field in the Tokyo Olympics, and we'll be looking at some of the events that we'll find interesting in track and field. We'll be taking a broad overview of these events, and we'll be looking at the Jamaican prospects where there are Jamaican athletes contending in these events. We're going to start today with the 400 meters, and I'm going to start with the 400 meters for ladies. 400 meters for ladies at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. I don't think the field is as strong as it was in previous years. We have people like Allyson Felix, who will be returning to the 400 meter, not at her best, coming back from having a child this year. Was second at the US trials to Quinera is not breaking for 50 seconds. Her prospects as a medalist, I think, is good. We have, for me this year, the most impressive showing I've seen in the 400 meters is our very own Stephanie McPherson. I have her as a definite medalist for the 400 meters this year. She has recorded a personal best time this year of 49.61, which she did at the Jamaica National Trials, and I think this puts her in very good stead for at least a silver medal at Tokyo 2020. There is a question mark regarding the appearance and the participation in the 400 meter of the Bahamian Shaunae Miller-Weaver. There is reports that Miller-Weaver wants to do both the 200 and the 400. If she starts in the 400 meter, I think she starts favorite. The world champion is not in the event. As I said, we have people like Shericka Jackson, who was the bronze medalist in the last world championship, who has opted to run the 1 and the 2 this year. So for me, the 400 meter is an open field this year. I have Shaunae Miller-Weaver winning the event if she participates. I have Stephanie McPherson with a silver medal. I have Allyson Felix reversing her fortunes at the US trials and taking the bronze medal. The US also has another pretty strong contender in Wadeline Janotas. She was third at the US trials. She should make a good showing. I think the USA will have 3 athletes in this final, and sets them up well for the 4x4. But for me, if Shaunae Miller-Weaver contests the 400 meter, she should be the winner of the women's 400 meter. I have Stephanie McPherson, a silver medalist, Allyson Felix fighting for the bronze medal with Quinella Hayes, her fellow US athlete. It gets much more interesting when we go on the men's side. The men's 400 meters at Tokyo 2020 will be, for me, one of the hottest events. There's a lot of talk about the sprints on the women's side, the 100 and the 200 meters, but not to be overlooked is the 400 meters on the men's side. Hotly contested race, I think this will be. We have the Olympic champion and world record holder Wade van Niekerk of South Africa, who have been rounding into good form this year. I saw him earlier in the season running a pretty easy 44 mid 44, rounding himself into shape for the Olympics. Wade van Niekerk, as we know, not to be joked with, a big moment performer, very speedy, one of the few men in history who have gone sub 10, sub 20, and the world record holder in the 400 meter at 43.03, which he set at the Rio Olympics. Back also this year and looking pretty good is Kirani James of Grenada, also a former Olympic champion, has been rounding in the form. Kirani James, not an old man by any stretch, only 28 years old. Suffered a few injuries, had some setbacks, But like Wade Van Niekerk, he's rounding into form pretty good this year in 2021. Should be in the finals. For me, should be a medal contender. We also look at people like the reigning world champion, Stephen Gardner from the Bahamas. Stephen Gardner, world and world champion, range 400 meter runner, has a PB of 43.48, 6th fastest man in history. No joke. I expect Stephen Gardner to be battling for the gold medal at Tokyo 21. He's going to take some beating unless Wade Van Niekerk can find some form like he had in 2016. I don't see anybody beating Stephen Gardner. For me, Stephen Gardner starts favorite in this 400 meters at Tokyo 2020. The US has some pretty good contenders. Not to be outdone is Michael Norman, US champion, fourth fastest man in history. Has a personal best of 43.45 in this event. Won the US trials, looking pretty good. Should be very dangerous in the final. Michael Cherry was second at the US Championships. Michael Cherry is a big-hearted competitor. He's always there about. Has a couple of World Championships relay medals. Looked good in the US national trials and should be in that finals at Tokyo 2020. Not to be outdone is a youngster from the US, the reigning NCAA champion, Randolph Ross. He's presently the world leader at 43.85, which he ran at the NCAA championships. Came back a couple of days later at the US trials, ran himself into third place after having a very long season. Randall Ross is going to be in that finals. That's one of the hotly contested races for me at Tokyo 2021. Tokyo 2020. As I said, for me, the favorite for me is Stephen Gardner, but it's very interesting to see what form Wade Van Niekerk and Kirani James, as previous champions, will turn up. Michael Norman should be about in the mix, and I'm expecting the youngster Randall Ross. We haven't seen him post US trials, so he should be rested and ready to go in that finals when it comes about Tokyo 2020. For me, one of the most hotly contested races at this Tokyo 2020 should be the men's 400 meter hurdles. Karsten Warholm, the world record holder, set this year 46.70. That's Norwegian is no joke. Serious. He starts favorite, but not to be outdone is Roy Benjamin from the US, who also this year has run 46.83. That is one of the races that people are most looking forward to in this Olympics. It's gonna be a ding-dong battle between these two gentlemen. I'm not expecting them to be challenged by anyone. For me, this is a two-horse race. It's gonna be Benjamin versus Warholm. I think the world record will go again at Tokyo. If the conditions are favorable, we expect a new track to be a fast track. And I'm expecting if they get favorable conditions, we could see a world record in the men's 400 meter hurdles at Tokyo 2020. I don't see Warholm being beat. He looks impressive. Benjamin will give it a great shot. We have a Jamaican in this race. We have Jalil Hyde, who this year ran a PB of 48.18 at our national trials. It's gonna be, whilst I expect him to be in the finals, it's gonna be very difficult for him to medal. There are a lot of other contenders in this. We have Dos Santos from Brazil. Dos Santos 47.34 PB. Some way ahead of Jalil Hyde. There's also Kyron McMaster. Should be there or thereabout. I think he has a point to prove. He should be battling. There should be a battle for the bronze medal between Kyron McMaster, the Santos, and Capello of Turkey for me for the bronze medal. What will we see from Jahil Hyde? As I said, I expect him to be in the finals. It depends on how much work he has done since our trials. He's a championship performer. He showed that as a junior. He should be there or thereabout. Possibility of him making the podium. It exists. I'm not expecting a medal, but he could very much surprise us. Also, a hotly contested race is expected in the female 400 meter hurdles. This is also one of the races that persons are anxiously looking forward to at Tokyo 2020. There is the youngster, the prodigious talent, Sydney McLaughlin. Set the world record this year at the US Trials, running an impressive 51.90, beating Dalila Mohammed into second. Dalila Mohammed was the world record holder previously, had the world record at 52.16. She beat Sydney McLaughlin last at the World Championships and set that world record. Sydney McLaughlin reversed the fortunes this year at the US Trials, 51.90, no joke. However, Dalila Mohammed was coming off an injury, and there was also reports of her contracting COVID-19. That was not very long before the trials. She was coming back from an injury, coming back from having COVID-19, still ran very well, ran 52.42 at the US Trials, coming second to Sydney McLaughlin. There is some thought that with some rest, we haven't seen her since the US Trials either. And with some work put in since the US Trials, she has had a month and a week maybe since US Trials. We should be seeing her getting better. There's also the young talent Femke Bol from the Netherlands. Femke Bol has gone and beaten this season. She has consistently beaten one of the US stars in this event, Shamir Little. Shamir Little was fourth at the US trial. She was expected to make this team, but she lost out to Anna Cockrell. Hit the 8th hurdle at the US trial, was passed by Anna Cockrell, and she finished fourth. But Shamir Little is one of the perennial contenders in this event. Femke Bol has consistently beaten Shamir Little this season. She, as I said before, she has gone unbeaten in this event. Tokyo 2020 will see her clashing with the US big guns, Sydney McLaughlin and Dalila Mohammed. This should be a race for the ages people. In this 400 meter hurdles, I'm expecting the world record to go also. When I look at Sydney McLaughlin, she's young. She's only 21 years of age. She's fast. She has run 22. She has run 22 mid-22s in the 200 meters. She has a 50.06, I think, in the flat 400. She's fast. She's young. She's hungry. She's gonna take some beating at Tokyo 2020. I'm expecting another world record run from her in the final in Tokyo. I think she is a little bit above. I expect Dalila Mohammed to come good. She should provide great competition for Sydney McLaughlin. I expect Femke Bol to be in the mix also. Those three ladies will be battling it out in the finals, and I'm expecting another world record. Jamaican prospects, we have some good ladies in this event. We have Genevieve Russell, who is our national champion. 54.07 at the national trials. We could see her running a PB in this final. She has been rounding into form. But I think the three ladies I just mentioned previously, are gonna be a little much. Jenny Russell has been beaten consistently by Femke Bol this year. She has been beaten badly also. I'm expecting at least 2 Jamaicans in the final. I'm expecting Jenny Russell, I'm expecting Ronda White. But our prospects for a medal in this event puts a little shade. As I said, I'm expecting a world record run, but it's gonna be Sydney McLaughlin, Dalila Mohammed, and Femke Bol to battle in the 400 meter hurdles at Tokyo 2020. Gentlemen and ladies, it's gonna be a hot one. The 400 meter hurdles at Tokyo 2020, that's for the female and the female side, is gonna be one of the hotly contested races. One to look out for at this event.